And here is a very miniature version of a pyramid. But it is a pyramid, a real one, fulfilling a lifelong ambition of wanting to build a pyramid. Out of rough stone, which is a much more difficult exercise than I imagined. I had to start 3 times to get it to work out how to do it. But I'm a mason, so eventually I worked out how to do it. But you cannot cut these stones. You have to be very, very selective, so you can get the arises, that is the corners of each triangle, reasonably accurate. It's very difficult to get them perfectly accurate because you cannot cut the stones. So no matter how, it's a matter of patience and choosing your stones. But it contradicts the idea that the Mayan pyramids were rough cut and not as well done as the Egyptian pyramids, because it is technique. In the Egyptian pyramids there's a high degree of technology used in creating the things and assembling them like Lego blocks. Whilst in the Mayan ones, it's the technique in assembling the thing so it doesn't collapse with all those rough stones. That is a higher degree of technique, developed technique, than the ones in Egypt. And I'm just going to suggest that the ones in Egypt, when they built them seasonally. I always thought it was a work for the dollar program. I always thought it was a work for your king program in the time that people went off season, when people were working in the fields. They couldn't work in the pyramid. But some people at that time, with a surplus of population, were probably cutting all the stones. And then when it was the rivers were flooded, then you could move the stones to the pyramid and then use the workforce that was working normally on the fields, but they were not on the fields anymore because it was flooded. They couldn't work. So they then worked on the pyramid because the pharaoh could not have a population having all that time off, getting drunk and fornicating and getting bored with themselves. People generally need something to do, and a hobby, and they need to do something that actually fulfills them spiritually. And building a pyramid, even if it's only a small one, is a spiritually fulfilling project to do, because not only does it look like a pyramid, because it is a pyramid, but it's extremely satisfying to look at. And if you're working on one of these things and you're part of the population and you see each day or each year, wow, look what we've done as a society, as a nation, well, it holds all the society then is enthralled by the achievement of the nation. And there's something to behold, there's something to learn from that, I think, for nations on earth. Or all seem to be fragmented and divided because, well, that's what politicians do, fragment and divide and exploit the population without any real gain to the population and whole. There's no spiritual gain. In fact, these days there's a spiritual takeaway from the people. So there is my own take on this idea that our pyramids were built. They were seasonal work because the pharaoh had to find something to do for those people who were, when the time was when they couldn't work in the fields because the rivers were flooded, so they got them then to float the stones up to the base of the pyramid and then put them by leverage pulleys up the pyramid, through putting pieces of wood up the pyramid and sliding them up on pulleys, which I won't go into just now. They did that, but that to me makes the only reasonable sense that makes, because with one, if you got a stone of 70 tons, well, you need a stone of 71 or 72 tons to put it up a slope. As long as you've got the timber to do that. And these people who built these pyramids were not stupid people. They either were stupid people or they weren't stupid people. They weren't stupid to build such a thing, but then one said, what would the best way to do it? What is the most simpler way to do it? How is the best way to arrange a workforce so it also can feed itself as well as build these things? And I've suggested it was a seasonal project where some of the workers were cutting stones, and then the rest of the season when they couldn't work on the fields, they were building pyramids. Anyway, that is my take on my contribution to stone pyramids, unless I think that's maybe the only one in the southern hemisphere, I'm not sure. But the thing is, again, also, how did I set it out? I set it out at 12 o'clock because the compass, I tried to set it out with a compass, but the compass, I had two compasses, none of them would go north, or they all spun around, because we live in a very great deal of copper in this area. And so I set it out at 12 o'clock. By the time it's by 12 o'clock, and I squared it all from midday, which is how I'm suggesting they squared the pyramids, was from midday, not due north. It was, in other words, well, 12 o'clock in the northern hemisphere is facing south, and that's how you set your pyramids out. But that's only my suggestion, is that people who've never set anything out making conjectures about things they know little about, because how do you set things out? Well, you need to sort of have a bit of an understanding. I had to do masonry to get that. Anyway, there's a pyramid. Maybe the only one this far south in the southern hemisphere.